What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about my Week 15 WNBA updates. But before we do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. Trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. And if you want anywhere heard this before, that's because you've been listening with me Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I greatly appreciate your support. Now, for those of y'all who are new, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm only talking about the top 8 playoff seeds, potentially right now. Okay, so if you're wondering why I ain't talking about the others, that's the rationale. For those of y'all who've been here before, welcome back. Let's get on to it. So, current standings, we have as follows. Minnesota Lynx, number 1. Golden State Valkyrie, number 2. Las Vegas Aces, number 3. Atlanta Dream, number 4. Indiana Fever, number 5. Washington Mystics, number 6. New York Liberty, number 7. And the Dallas Wings, number 8. Let's go ahead and talk about our biggest drop this week, which would be the Dallas Wings. Okay, this one hurts a little bit because I thought, and that before the season started, I didn't know if the Wings were going to make the playoffs or not. I think I had them in that 8 through 10 range, to be clear. They were surprising me this season. I even made a video stating that the West may be more dominant than the East because the top 4 seeds were out West. Okay, that don't happen no more though because of the Wings. They did drop. Now again, it's tough. Out of 8 games recently, they've lost 6. But also, when we're talking about games lost back to back, like 2 games losing streaks, they got 4 of them things. And like, don't get me wrong, like I like this team. I thought they were maturing a little bit, but there was something about them where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. And I think when they moved Awak Kuier to the bench after the All-Star break, coincidentally, that's when they started losing. Now, keep in mind, they brought in Alana Smith, who they've had on the bench, and she was co-depoy last year. So logically, I understand it. However, every season is different. Let's be clear. I'm not saying Alana Smith doesn't deserve to start. I'm not saying Alana Smith is not a starter. I'm saying Awak Kuier proved that she should have been a starter still. Like, good defender, knows her role, can get a bucket off ball. Like, I like the Awak Kuier personally, and I think she fit well with the starters, with the starting unit. That's just me personally, though. But it's very concerning to see the Dallas Wings slipping as much as they have. Can they turn it around? Sure. They got Paige Beckers leading the league in fourth quarter points, so they got the closers, right? They've come back before after double digits, after being down double digits, so they got the clutch gene for sure. You don't want to be in a close game with them. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I'm surprised at the Wings. The only good thing to note is, hell, Paige is from Minnesota. So I guess if they were to play in the playoffs starting today, they go up against the Lynx. So she gets to play against Minnesota in her hometown. Cool, heard you. But I did kind of expect a little bit more given what they were showing during this season. And their strength of schedule earlier on was tougher than it is now. So that's very concerning. But the Dallas Wings definitely had the biggest drop off this week. I don't know what else to say, man. Y'all gonna have to turn it around end of day. And I get it. Y'all had some injuries. Jessica Shepard got injured. AJ Fudd wasn't in the game recently. I hear all that. But you guys have been playing pretty well this season. So I didn't expect 6 out of 8 losses. I did not. I could take 4. 6 is a little tough. But again, that is the biggest drop this week. The biggest risers this week, ladies and gentlemen, are in fact the Atlanta Dream and the Washington Mystics. Because both of them were 2 seeds lower the previous week. Now, keep in mind, I've also stated that both these teams are the most inconsistent teams in the WNBA. The Dream has more of a knock for you all than it does the Mystics, because again, the Mystics are a younger team, right? They're the youngest team in WNBA history. But keep in mind, okay, I had concerns about the Dream early on. I still view them as contenders, but they did go on a 5-game losing streak. Okay, they have currently though only 2 back-to-back losing streaks. Like 2-game losing streaks, they only have 2 of those. And that's pretty daggone impressive, ladies and gentlemen. And with the acquisition, don't get me wrong, it's not like they traded for Brionna Jones this season, but she was injured, and she's now back. So with the acquisition of Brionna Jones, I think this does, in fact, benefit them. Is it sufficient enough to consider them still as contenders? I think so. But again, ladies and gentlemen, the Dream It's still fair to say they're inconsistent until they prove otherwise. Same with the Mystics. Again, when we're talking about losing streaks, right? They have, at worst, a 2-game losing streak, but they have 4 of those during the season. But the reason why they've risen is because they're currently on a 7-game winning streak. Like the Dream went on a 5-game winning streak. The Mystics is on a 7-game winning streak. The 2 most inconsistent teams in the WNBA are coincidentally winning at an alarming rate at the same time. There's something in the water. And it makes me wonder what they're going to look like next season, especially if they finish this season strong. But right now, point in time, those are the biggest risers, ladies and gentlemen. You got to tip your cap to them. The Dream are doing pretty well right now, so are the Mystics. How long does this continue? We'll wait to see. And then the other teams. Minnesota Lynx, again, I told y'all, number 1, they snapping, right? Shout out to Kayla McBride for setting a WNBA record with 10 threes, getting 43 points. She dropped 16 buckets, ladies and gentlemen. She got 16 buckets, 16 of them things. And keep in mind, when we're talking about back-to-back losses, they've had at worst a 2-game losing streak. And that's happened one time. Let me say that again. One time has this Minnesota Lynx team had a 2-game losing streak or higher. That's pretty phenomenal, especially during this regular season. That's why we're saying it's their season to lose. Because during the regular season, they've shown that. Now, don't get me wrong, regular season is different than playoffs. But this team is pretty seasoned. like they have a lot of experience. The only one who doesn't have a lot of experience is Olivia Miles. But she has fit in quite nicely in the WNBA. That's why she's the MVP candidate. So again, Minnesota Lynx, kudos. Golden State Valkyrie. I've been curious if y'all gonna slip. So far you haven't. In fact, hell, y'all rose up from number 3 to number 2. Kudos. And y'all have had at worst a 2-game losing streak, which they've done 3 times. Now that 3 times piece, I am noting, because keep in mind, I said the Dream only did it twice. The Lynx only did it once. There's more season left to be played for sure. But in the playoffs, you can't afford to have back-to-back losses. If you do, you're probably going to lose the series. So that's why I'm focusing on those back-to-back losses. What are these teams looking like? The record is smooth for sure. And they have a quality team. Like, I genuinely do like I like the way they're constructed. I do. I could see them going to the second round. Finals is a bit much right now, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I do like the Golden State Valkyrie for sure. They're having a quality season. The Las Vegas Aces. At worst, they've had a 2-game losing streak, which they've lost, which that's happened 2 times. But we got to wait and see, too, though. I think they're playing the Washington Mystics, who, again, are on a 7-game win streak right now. So let's see what happens with that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we already know what the Aces are like, right? Defending champions. They have a target on their back. So the fact that they've only lost or had a 2-game losing streak at worst, and that's happened only twice, that's pretty spectacular, I got to admit. Like the Golden State Valkyrie have 3. The Lynx have 1. The Dream have 2. I'm just saying, the Aces have a bigger target on their back. You could try to argue the Lynx because of this season, but you typically go after the defending champs a little tougher every single season. So again, the Aces, they're doing their thing. I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like come playoff time. Especially, again, losing Kennedy Carter. They had to replace that value for sure. And I get fit is a thing. But they have the talent to be able to do so with Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson. If Jewel Lloyd steps up again like she usually does, or she can do, they'll be all right. But again, we got to wait to see what happens with the Aces. I've already talked about the Dream, the Indiana Fever, ladies and gentlemen. They've been looking pretty interesting, right? They've had at worst a 2-game losing streak 3 times, though, right? That's right there. It's right there with the Valkyries. That gives me a little cause for pause, but something that kind of gets me over the hump. Don't get me wrong. The Fever have a really good offense. They've been getting the bucket, okay? But you also got to be able to defend, too. And I'm Aaliyah Boston's a good defender. Kelsey Mitchell's solid. Everybody else I had concerns about. And my thing is this. With the addition of Michaela Timpson, could that be the missing link? Because right now it's looking like she is the missing link. When I think about the New York Liberty, I think about Leonie Phoebus being able to guard 1 through 5. And that's a very valuable piece right now. And we'll talk about the Liberty in a little bit. But I kind of look at Michaela Timpson in a similar manner. She appears to be able to guard 1 through 5. And then on the offensive end, she knows her role. She can play her role. She's competent in her role as a role player. So again, I love the addition of Michaela Timpson. And I'm going to be noting how the Fever look going forward because they were missing defense. Offense, solid. Don't got a few things to talk about for offense, but for the most part, they a high powered offense. Kind of reminds you of the Suns offense when they were that 7-second Suns, you know what I'm saying? Like with D'Antoni, Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Shawn Marion, and them boys. This kind of reminds me of something similar. But you still need defense, which is why I'm harping on Michaela Timpson. So again, I like Michaela. Let's see what happens. I already talked about the Mystics. The Liberty, ladies and gentlemen. I got to wonder how long should I continue to put them as a contender. They've had at worst a 4-game losing streak. And they've had 2-game losing streaks happen 5 times this season. I get it. And I just talked about how defense is important. Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And they have not had Satu Sabali, Leonie Fevers, or Benaje Laney Hamilton playing good basketball as well as they need to. Now, whether that's due to injury or fit or whatever the case may be, ladies and gentlemen, I have not liked what I've seen from the New York Liberty. They have flashes where they look impressive, and then they have flashes where it's like, damn, this is bad. And I don't like it. Because on paper, this is easily the best team. They're the deepest team. But the fit, the cohesion, that's a problem. And let's say if Satu Sabali comes back from concussion protocol. Let's say if Leonie Fevers comes back from her foot injury. And let's say Benaje Laney Hamilton ends up fitting the team roster again. What's the cohesion looking like? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm puzzled and troubled for this New York Liberty squad. They have the talent to be considered a contender. But right now, I'm questioning, should I continue to consider them a contender? They haven't shown me enough. And I'm just basing this off what I know they can do. And that's kind of concerning for me. So again, the New York Liberty, I need y'all to step it up. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, these are the top 8 seeds in the playoffs. And I'm not going to talk about the other teams, mainly because the games behind, they're behind a lot. It's at least 6 games. That's a lot of losing that someone has to do. Now, keep in mind, I did say that the Wings lost 6 of 8 games. So maybe they can do that. Or maybe the Liberty can do that. Or maybe the Mystics can do that. I'm just not expecting it, even if what I've seen thus far is troubling. Like, I don't expect the Portland Fire to hit the 8th seed. I don't expect the Sparks now to hit the 8th. My Sparks, I don't expect to hit the 8th seed. The Mercury, I don't expect them to hit the 8th seed. And also, I'm pissed, too, that Kelsey Plum didn't play against my Sparks. I'm so heated, bro. I wanted to see that matchup so badly. So badly. I hated it. I hate that so much. But, ladies and gentlemen, I am curious. What are your thoughts so far on this week's updates? Is there a team that you're liking more after this week or after last week? Is there a team you're liking less after this week? Are there players that you're concerned about? Let me know your thoughts. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does conclude the end of this episode. So please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. I hope you are all having a good one. Take care.